This month's podcasts are sponsored by Aubergine Legal. Do you sometimes worry that your business isn't meeting all its legal compliance requirements and wonder if you're ticking all the legal boxes? Are you losing sleep worrying about a piece of legislation that you may or may not be complying with? Perhaps you need some help with your client contracts or your data protection compliance. Or maybe you're worried that your website doesn't have the right documents or legal notices in the right place. Perhaps you have a brand that you want to protect with a trademark. How about if you could outsource it all and eliminate all of your worries? If so, then get in touch with Aubergine Legal, a friendly commercial legal consultancy offering practical and clear commercial legal advice without the overwhelming legal jargon, taking the worry away and helping you to protect your business and minimise your risks. Aubergine offers a free 30-minute consultation if you have any questions or want to find out if they can help, and you can access this link and book your free 30-minute call via the link in the show notes.
Welcome to the Bring Your Product Ideas to Life podcast. Practical advice and inspiration to help you create and sell your own physical products. Here's your host, Vicky Weinberg.
Hello, so today's episode is one I've been wanting to record for a while because today we are talking about TikTok and specifically how to sell your products on TikTok. So I've been looking around for a while for an expert that could talk to us about this, and I was put in touch with Anna Frapwell. Anna is the founder of Neon Digital Clicks, a digital agency supporting e-commerce, baby, kids and family brands to increase sales through a range of online marketing tactics. She has over 20 years experience in marketing and PR, working for some pretty big agencies and retail brands. So we're talking brands like Revlon, Bravissimo, Baylis and Harding, brands you've definitely heard of. Anna and her team are passionate about helping clients create a thriving ecosystem through paid social, Google and email marketing where their brands can grow and flourish. So we had a really great conversation today all about TikTok. We spoke about why you might want your products to be on TikTok, and once they are there, what you can do to promote and sell them. So if you have even considered selling your products on TikTok, and even if you haven't, I would say this one is essential listening. So as always, I hope you enjoy, and I'd now love to introduce you to Anna. So hi Anna, thank you for being here.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Well, can we start by you giving a quick introduction to yourself, your business, and what you do, please?
Sure. So my name's Anna, as you said, and I head up Neon Digital Clicks. I'm the owner and founder. We're a digital marketing agency, and we focus predominantly on paid social, so anything to do with Meta, so Facebook, Instagram, but also TikTok, as well as Google Ads and Klaviyo email marketing. And we work predominantly with e-commerce brands, helping them to scale. So if someone's been finding their sales are plateauing, then we will support them with scaling those.
Amazing, thank you. And I've invited you on here today to talk about TikTok because I hear a lot about people needing to get on there, particularly e-commerce businesses, and I know absolutely nothing about it. So if you don't mind, we're going to start right at the beginning. And can you just give us a quick introduction to TikTok, what it is? Yeah, what it is? Let's start there.
Yeah, so it's a really difficult question to answer, really, because it's so many things, I suppose. But it's an app that's one of the fastest growing apps outside of Facebook, so social media apps outside of Facebook. It has really kind of grown rapidly in the last couple of years, and particularly during lockdown, it kind of took hold and kind of went a bit crazy. It's a video app, so everything on there is video based. Started off, I suppose, with a much younger audience, but actually, interestingly enough, over the last, I'd say, year, the 40 plus audience has become the fastest growing audience on the platform. So I think that many people are afraid of TikTok and are maybe avoiding TikTok because of the preconception that actually all that's on there is young people, 20-somethings, doing really cool dances or lip syncing to things, but that's really not the case anymore. And actually, it has changed so much. The algorithm on TikTok is pretty amazing. It's everyone who has a TikTok account will have a For You page. So that's your FYP page. And on that FYP page, it will pull in content from people that you aren't necessarily following. So it works a little bit like Reels are now, in that you will see within your feed on Instagram Reels that are the algorithm has worked out what kind of Reels you might be more likely to interact with, so that gets fed into your Instagram feed. Well, the same thing happens with TikTok, but it's kind of the core focus is your For You page is populated with all the people that you follow and you've interacted with, but also it's filled with other creators that you may also be interested in finding out more from. So it's a really targeted feed and because of that reason, it's no surprise that people get really drawn into it and really kind of engrossed in what's going on, because you're constantly being served content that is relevant to you and that you want to see more of.
Amazing, thank you. I mean, I mentioned to you earlier, I haven't even downloaded TikTok.
Yeah.
But I do know from listening to other people that it can be quite addictive. I've certainly heard of people talking about spending much longer than they intend just watching video after video. And am I right in thinking they're short form videos as well?
Yeah, they are short form videos, but they have increased the length of the videos. So originally it was like really short snippets, but now you can record much longer videos. However, we're still finding ourselves, certainly from an ads perspective, that it's the shorter form videos that the higher performing videos. You've got to kind of think of your audience on TikTok as having it's such a fast paced platform that you kind of got to think about how much can you get across in quite a short space of time, because the attention span isn't quite as long as it may be on other platforms. So get everything you need to get across in a 15-second, 30-second video, although there is the option to record longer videos.
Oh, that's interesting. Thank you. And I feel that probably goes the same for things like Reels as well. I know that myself, I'm much more likely to watch something if it's under 30. And I know like 30 seconds is such a short amount of time. But if I look at something and it's a minute and a half, I probably would be less likely to commit to pressing play, if I'm honest. Yeah,
definitely. And I think, it's what's happened, hasn't it, to culture? We expect everything to happen so quick, so fast. Even, going back to e-commerce businesses, one of the big things that I talk to clients about or leads about is, how quick is it to get from seeing a product you want to checking out? Because actually the more you can shorten that length of time, the better. And it's kind of the same across most things when it comes to marketing. It's, get those messages across, get that people to take those actions as quickly as possible.
So we might cover this later on, but you've just sparked the question, if you don't mind, Anna, which is, can you shop on TikTok?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
So there's a TikTok shop. And you can get registered on the TikTok shop. So you can use the TikTok shop. You can also integrate, as you would do with Facebook and Instagram, you can integrate your website into your page so people can click through and go straight to your website as well.
Oh, wow. I had no idea. So I can definitely see, we'll talk a bit later about opportunities, but I can see actually there are more opportunities than I thought there would be with a short form video platform, definitely. Are these quite new features? Relatively?
Well, I mean, the platform's pretty new, I suppose. But not particularly. You've been able to obviously advertise on TikTok for quite some time, so that integration's been there for quite some time as well. So no, not particularly new, I wouldn't say.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about content. What kind of content is good? Well, you've mentioned shorter form videos rather than longer form. What other kind of content is good for TikTok? So
in terms of content, and this goes across organic content and also any ads that are created as well, it's native content. So it's a very native platform. And I think this is one of the things that you can kind of reassure yourself with if you're thinking about dipping your toe in the waters of TikTok. And you don't need to put the pressure on that people sometimes do when it comes to a perfectly curated Instagram feed and everything's got to look great and it's got a kind of, the aesthetic is quite important, although there's an argument to say that that isn't quite as important these days on Instagram. But with TikTok, actually just get out there and do it, because it's the native, quick content that works really, really well. It's the stuff that hasn't been thought about quite so much, that isn't quite so polished. It's that kind of grabbing your phone, doing a quick TikTok, whether that's talking directly to a camera to kind of impart some knowledge or just update someone on what's going on in your business during your working day, those kind of things, brilliant. It's really important that kind of you use kind of user-generated content as well. This is more so with ads. So anything that is taking a customer's point of view, and maybe they're showing an unboxing experience if they've bought a product, or they are showing the features and benefits, or 3 reasons why they love this product. It's those kind of things that work really, really well. The other thing that works particularly well is like I say, the 3 reasons why. So whether that's from a user actually doing a video about 3 reasons why this product is great, 3 reasons why this service is great, you know, there's no reason why the business owner can't do those as well.
Okay. And so the videos, they don't need to be sort of edited as you might do for an Instagram reel, for example.
No, not at all. I think they can be, and there are loads of creators that actually specialize in really cool, like transition videos, or really cool lip syncing videos, or amazing dances, but leave that to the creators. If that's not your thing, don't try and make it your thing, because that's when you start going, oh, I can't do TikTok, because actually everyone can do TikTok. It's those kind of things. If that's not what you enjoy doing, it's not what you're good at doing, don't do it. Find what you can do, and treat it a little bit like Instagram stories. You know, on an Instagram story, you wouldn't think about it as much as you would when you're creating a reel. It's about grabbing a camera, showing someone part of your day. It's about talking about what's going on in the moment. It's about imparting something, you know, some knowledge, something that's just happened to you that you kind of go, oh God, I didn't realize that was going to be the result of this action, or those kind of things. Perfect for TikTok.
Amazing, thank you. And thank you for making the link with Instagram stories, because that was coming up in my mind. Was it similar to stories? That's how it feels to be, quite informal, and doesn't have to be particularly polished, perhaps. That's really interesting. And so what kind of people are on TikTok? Because you mentioned earlier that over 40s is the fastest growing demographic. Yeah. So if we take TikTok overall, what's the demographic like? And is it, I'll leave it as a wider question.
Yeah. So, I mean, it is a really broad dynamic, definitely. TikTok is the first app in the world that's not owned by Facebook to have over 3 billion downloads. It's kind of the explosive growth of TikTok will overtake Facebook in less than 2 years, and it will become the number 1 platform for paid traffic. It's heading that way. TikTok are investing so much money into improving the algorithms, improving the services, so that advertisers will flock there. And particularly if you're thinking about dipping your toe in the water of TikTok, whether that's organically or through paid, think about doing it in Q3, because Q4 is obviously going to be huge for generating those sales. But in terms of kind of who is on TikTok, I'd say it's pretty much everyone. You will, whatever your niche, you will find an audience for your niche. I can just pull up some stats for you if you need some stats. Actually, no, I can't, sorry. I thought I had that page loaded, so you might have to.
No, don't worry at all. And say, we mentioned, it sounds like everyone apart from me is on TikTok. But do you have any data, or do you know what people are there for? And I guess the big question here, because we're talking about products businesses, is, are people there to shop? I know they can shop, but do people shop on TikTok? Do people come to TikTok looking for things to buy?
Yeah, so I'd say largely people are there for entertainment. It's a highly entertaining platform. And it's kind of, that's where this whole kind of getting sucked in and getting engrossed is, because you kind of, the entertainment factor is there, but then also you're being served content that is completely relevant to you, what you want to see, what you're interested in, what you engage. But yes, there is a large proportion of people that are there to shop as well. There is a hashtag that is TikTok made me buy it. And that is basically full of people doing unboxing videos, people showing what they've purchased and what they've seen on a TikTok that they've then gone on to buy. So it's a massive, massive part of what TikTok is all about, is that kind of introducing people to brands, introducing people to products, introducing people to interesting things that they may not have seen before, creating trends around products, creating communities around products, you know, all of those kind of things are definitely where you kind of would go to TikTok for. And the more you get involved in that, the more you kind of want to see more of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And it really does make sense. Because I mean, I know that if I come across a small brand that I've never heard before, I'm looking at buying something, one of the first things I do is go to their Instagram, because most places now have Instagram, and that's a platform I'm very comfortable with, just to kind of look at what they post and get an idea of them and see if customers have tagged photos and things like that. So it sounds like it's very similar on TikTok, in that if there's a brand you're interested in, you could find out a whole load about them by looking at their content. And I guess, can you also see content that people post about a brand?
Yeah, so hashtags are searchable as they would be on Instagram. So you can, you know, if you tapped in a brand's name into the search function bar, you will, you know, if there's someone's recorded something about a particular product, it's highly likely that they've hashtagged that brand as well.
Oh, that's really interesting. Okay, so it sounds like that's one good reason that product businesses might want to consider being on TikTok. Are there any other reasons that people might want to consider giving it a try?
I think that there's a lot of fatigue around Instagram, and I think that a lot of people feel like, you know, certainly in the small business world, in the independent business world, that there was this massive boom on Instagram. You could do a lot organically with Instagram, and actually, is that happening anymore? Is the engagement there anymore? TikTok is kind of where I would never say ignore Instagram, by the way. You know, I think that every platform has its purpose, and I think that when you build on different platforms and you kind of create a really good foundation to your business, utilizing all the elements that each different platform has to offer. Like, I would never say turn your back on Facebook, I'd never say turn your back on Instagram, but actually when you add TikTok in there, it's another method for driving traffic to your business, for driving awareness to your business, for driving that kind of additional layer of endorsement, kind of those behind the scene things that are also important for a small business. And it is at the moment a relatively easy place to see growth and engagement.
That's really interesting. And I think you're right in that all of the channels you mentioned have a place, and it's kind of working out what works for you, because I think all of us have channels that work better and those that don't. And it certainly sounds worth giving it a try. In fact, someone that I follow on Instagram, who was a podcast guest a while ago, she started doing TikTok not very long ago, and saw I think one of her TikToks went viral, and she's been on there for like literally days. So it definitely sounds like there isn't a downside to trying.
No,
if it doesn't work and you don't enjoy it, then I guess you just stop.
And I think the other thing is, it's a bit like Instagram, it's a bit like Reels, in that Reels can, you know, you could create a Reel, not get a lot of engagement, and then like 2 months later find this reel all of a sudden it's getting loads of engagement. TikTok's the same. It's, you know, you can put out content, it may not immediately get any reaction, but then all of a sudden there might be a flurry because something has resonated with someone, and then it's getting fed into for you pages, and it's kind of growing. So it's not like you create something, it didn't work, and you can go, oh, okay, it didn't work, kind of on to the next thing. It always has that potential to kind of grow and flourish at some point.
That's really interesting. So, yeah, I didn't really think about that, because I guess on Instagram, with a post, I'm talking about like an image post, once you posted it, probably not even a day, like hours later, I feel like if you don't get that many likes and comments in the first couple of hours, you're probably not going to.
Yeah.
There's very few people are going to scroll down your feed to look at what you were talking about a couple of weeks ago. So that's really interesting in TikTok that things still do pop up.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's brilliant. And it's, you know, I found it myself that, you know, if there's a TikTok that I posted quite a while ago, and I was looking back at some stats, and actually that one had all of a sudden gone from a couple of hundred kind of views to thousands. And it was just, yeah, it's crazy how that can happen without in the background, really.
Yeah. You'll have to make sure you give us the link for your TikTok, like a bit in the show notes, Anna.
I will do.
So how easy is it to get started on TikTok? Is it just a case of setting up an account? And
it's super easy. It's really intuitive. It's kind of download the app, get yourself going by following the prompts, get yourself set up, and then just go for it. And also just kind of don't overthink it. And the thing with TikTok is it is so fast paced. This is the only, I suppose, drawback as a business owner, is that you do have to produce, if you're going to really go for it, you have to kind of commit to doing a TikTok at least once a day. So it can feel like a lot of content, but if you shift that in your mind and think about it in terms of doing stories rather than doing the kind of reels that the reels that take time to kind of plan out and think about, you can kind of quite quickly see how you could regularly do a TikTok.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially if I guess it's just you talking to camera, and I guess you could intersperse those with more produced ones if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Because am I right in thinking that you can create quite nice videos in Canva or whatever, and then upload them to TikTok?
You can do that, but then there is so much within TikTok itself that you can make use of. There are so many functions and things like that you can use, that actually you can, within the platform itself, create some pretty amazing things anyway.
Oh, I had no, actually, this is ringing the bell, because obviously I don't know much about this, as you can tell, but I do kind of vaguely remember people would go to TikTok to create reels that then they would upload to Instagram. That was definitely a thing, wasn't it?
Maybe it definitely was. Yeah, so it was a thing. And it's because actually if you create a reel and you post it to TikTok, it doesn't work. But if you do it the other way around, it does work, but you won't get the kind of level of engagement that you kind of would if you did it the other way around. Okay,
so the best way to create videos sounds like to do it within the app itself rather than uploading.
I would, yeah, definitely. I mean, there are people that do it other ways, but I think there's so much there. Why make it harder for yourself by going somewhere else, creating it somewhere else, bringing it into TikTok? Actually, do it natively within the platform.
That's a really good tip. Thank you. And I'm guessing that's a bit quicker as well than any other way. Okay, so ideally, I guess you want to be, if you can, doing a TikTok a day when you get started. Mm-hmm. If someone's going, oh my gosh, I just can't do that, please don't make me do one a day, what would you say the minimum is to kind of build up? Even, I mean, taking into account you're obviously going to grow much slower if you're doing it less.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's kind of down to personal preference, really. I mean, you know, you do want to be doing it every day. It really is one of those things that you kind of have to go, right, I'm going to commit to it. But like you say, if you're doing it just to dip your toe in the water and practice and have fun, like that's the best way to start. And if it means that you're doing 3 a week, you're doing 3 a week, and that's fine. I would kind of tips for how to get started. I would kind of follow influencers that are relevant to your business niche. I would follow other businesses that are already on TikTok that are similar to yourself. I would just spend time on the app and just really kind of fully immerse yourself in the app, because it's not until you do that you kind of start to understand some of the kind of way things work and the nuances and what other people do. And a lot of it's repetition. A lot of it is other people copying what other people have done and putting their spin on it. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's not about coming up with something really cool and new. It's about actually seeing things and working out how you could take those and utilize them within your business.
That makes sense. And we have touched on this slightly, but what would be good, Anna, do you have any just quick ideas for if someone's going, okay, I'm going to listen to this podcast and I'm going to get on TikTok, I'm going to get started. Do you have a few like really quick ideas for product businesses of the kind of videos they could just go away and get started with?
Definitely. So kind of things like how you got started. So do a TikTok on, like, you know, how the business started, a bit of background about who you are, what you're all about, why you've created your business, those 3 reasons why, an unboxing video. So, you know, actually what's the experience when your product lands with someone? And you can even like take it. So for example, we work with quite a few subscription boxes. And one of the videos that we quite often encourage them to do is, you know, box arriving at door, going through letterbox, landing on the doormat, someone picking it up, opening it, and kind of that enjoyment of like revealing the goodies inside. So that kind of experiential video. You can link up with creators, get creators to create content for you. There's a brilliant Facebook group called UK Influencers, and it's kind of like almost a marketplace where you can post your business, your product, and you can say, you know, we're looking for people that can create TikToks for our business in exchange for a free product. Or if you're prepared to pay, then, you know, I'll pay £50 per TikTok or whatever. So that's another place that you could utilize to get some TikToks made for you, which is really, really great way of growing quite quickly as well. Yeah, anything that user generated content, kind of what our customers say about us. So you could almost like put some text on the screen of kind of 5-star reviews that you've had, things like that, that just either give a little bit more background into your business and why you started and kind of that whole behind the scenes, take you on a journey of your day. You know, what do you do from the moment you walk in the office to the moment you leave? And, you know, 3 reasons why you should do this, why you should buy from us. They're the kind of things that work really well.
That's amazing. Thank you. And definitely the sense I'm getting is you probably can't go that far wrong if you just pick up your phone.
Really. I mean, because what's the worst that's going to happen? You won't get any views and nothing negative is going to happen by, you know, creating a TikTok that doesn't end up on lots of view pages. It's really not, you know, there is nothing bad that can happen from it.
That's good to know. So TikTok, is it a platform where you like and comment, or is it, or not, you just view?
Yeah. So you like, you comment, you engage. If people comment, it's very similar to other platforms, so make sure you respond to their comments. There's other functions that you can do as well, where someone comments, they may ask a question about your product, and then you can take that comment, create a TikTok from that comment. So you have the comment in the actual showing in the TikTok video, and you're responding in video form to that question that you've had. So that is brilliant, because you're not only engaging with someone, but you're creating a video. And if someone's asked that question, it's likely other people are thinking about that question. So that's another brilliant thing to do. The other thing that I've just thought of that's also a really great way to get involved quite quickly is by using the stitch function. So a bit like on Reels, where someone can create a reel and then you can kind of stitch your response to that. So you have the original reel playing and then your response alongside it. You can do that on TikTok as well. So, you know, if you find someone, I don't know, talking about maybe a problem they've got and your product, you know, solves that problem, you could have that as a stitched TikTok really nicely.
I'll be honest, I am getting, the more we talk, the more tempted I am. I could
do it.
This could be the rest of my afternoon gone now, Anna. I really can.
Yeah, well, that is the problem. That is the biggest downside, is you kind of find yourself going through the phases of TikTok, like completely resisting it and saying, I'm not going to go there, I'm not going to do it. Downloading it, being a bit frightened by the whole thing because you see all these hundreds of videos. And then all of a sudden, you're just kind of fully committed. You're in it every day and you can't like not look at it every day.
Well, I'll have to keep you posted on how I do.
Yeah.
I also should have said thank you for mentioning that Facebook group as well. I'll find that and link stuff in the show notes, because that sounds like that could be a really good option for someone who just wants a bit of a boost when they get started.
Exactly. I think it's called UK Influencer Opportunities.
I'll find it. Thank you. And speaking of sort of giving a bit of a boost, let's talk a little bit about TikTok ads, because I know that's one of the things you specialise in. So our ads, well, first of all, how soon would you suggest people start looking into ads? I mean, can you do them from day one, or do you need to build up a bit of a following first? What tends to work best?
No, well, that's the beauty of TikTok ads particularly, is that you don't need to have that kind of consistently engaged page in order to start running ads, which is something you do need to have on other platforms. It would be not great advice to go out there with a Facebook ads campaign and a completely empty Facebook page and a completely empty Instagram page. You have to kind of commit to running the ads and fully getting on board with doing the organic side as well. So with TikTok, that's not such a worry. Obviously, it's great to have an organic page, but it's not going to impact the performance of your ad campaigns as it would do on other platforms. And it's not something that I would suggest going out at when you're and running ads when you're just starting, because with all ad campaigns, you do need to invest. And I think it's a bit like, you can run a bath with the tap dripping, or you can turn the tap on properly and run the bath properly. And that's kind of the difference between kind of just putting a small amount behind advertising campaigns and really kind of turning it on and doing it properly, because a large part of advertising is that whole testing and optimizing. If you're not putting enough in to get through testing, it's going to take you a very long time to get to the point where you know what's working and what's going to create and generate sales for you. So I wouldn't say it's something to go out with if you were kind of a new business, just starting. Always start with the foundations of your business, get them right, and then layer on some advertising on top of that.
That's brilliant. Thank you. And how about if you've decided you're in a position where you are ready to commit to doing ads on TikTok, what advice do you have about how to do them well?
So it's very much like doing it organically on TikTok. So the ads that work are the ones that look native. So the ones that don't stand out as an ad, they're very kind of native in content. They use a lot of user generated content. They use a lot of creators and influencers to create content for them. Again, it's the same kind of thing that works really well. It's that whole storytelling, it's the unboxing, it's the reasons why, it's the benefits, it's getting all of those across in ads is what really works and converts on TikTok.
Okay, that's good to know. So if you had, let's say you had an unboxing TikTok that you'd created that you were pleased with and it was, and it did well, can you turn an organic TikTok into an ad?
Yes. Yeah, you can. They're called Spark ads. So you can use those as TikTok ads. The thing to bear in mind with TikTok, it is kind of something that's often a barrier to a lot of people. And I can totally see why, is that TikTok works when you have volume of creative. It's such a fast-paced platform that, unlike Facebook, you could have an ad on Facebook that works really, really well and it will just truck along. And if it's getting conversions, it could just truck along for months sometimes. TikTok, your ad's going to fatigue within a couple of weeks. So you kind of have to make sure that you've always got that creative content that you're generating. And we work with people to do that for them, or we work with creators to get those created for them. So it's not necessarily something that the client has to do themselves, but you have to be mindful that it's the volume of creative that kind of makes TikTok work really well. And you kind of have to be aware that, in any one campaign, you may need 5 TikTok ads running and they may only last you 2 weeks. So you'd need fresh content.
That makes sense. I guess to think of it as refreshing your ads constantly. Okay. Yeah, that is quite different to other platforms, isn't it? Because you're right.
Yeah.
With Facebook, you can definitely set up an ad and just, as long as it's performing, just keep it going.
Yeah.
And how is it? So I promise this is my final question about ads, but
That's
I am
right.
quite curious because I find Facebook and Instagram, like the targeting side of ads, it's got better, but I find it tricky. I'm sure I'm not the only one who finds it tricky. How do you find TikTok for sort of working out how to target your ads and who should see them and that kind of thing?
So just with Facebook and Instagram, TikTok has a TikTok pixel that you need to get onto your website so that you can retarget people, and you can utilize the data from people landing on your website to then create audiences and create lookalike audiences and things like that, so that you can kind of make sure that you're really targeting the right kind of people. I think that iOS 14 update, I don't know if you know much about that. I won't go into it in great detail, but when Apple did their iOS 14 update, it did impact loads and loads of things when it came to targeting. And certainly in terms of the kind of accuracy of the targeting that we were able to utilize pre-iOS 14, where things were really pretty pinpoint. You could kind of go, oh, I want to target someone that likes this, and you'd find them. There are less interests now across Facebook and Instagram than there used to be. And it is about kind of making sure that, because of the fact that there are less interests and because targeting has become harder, that's why your creative really has to speak to your end user. So it's your creative that will do the job. So you will probably go out, and this is actually applies across all platforms. It's not just TikTok, it's not just Instagram, it's not just Facebook. You go out to a broader audience, but you use your creative and you use your copy to target those people.
That makes sense. But it sounds like the TikTok algorithm is quite sophisticated then.
Yeah, it is. It's really sophisticated, and it's, you know, you will get then as a user, you do really genuinely get things that you're really interested in your feed.
That's good. And it's not always, also from what you said, it's not always obvious when you're seeing an ad versus when you're seeing organic content either.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it is, but most of the time, because, you know, there is always a call to action and things like that. So as an advertiser, I'm probably acutely aware of what's an ad and what's not an ad. But on the whole, your main focus needs to be to try and get these things to look as native as possible, so that they disrupt the feed because they're creative and engaging. They don't disrupt the feed because you go, oh, that's an ad, I'm going to scroll past.
Yeah, I see what you mean. And what would be your, sorry, and I'm going to move on from ads for a second. What would be your sort of number one overall tip for someone wanting to get started on TikTok?
It would be, don't overthink it. Make it as native as possible. Put the polished squares of Instagram well behind you and just get on it and have fun.
Oh, thank you. That's such good advice. And my final question, Anna, is if someone wants a bit of help with their TikTok ads, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Sure. So we are offering anyone that listens to this podcast and wants to find out a bit more. I'm going to give you a link to our landing page. So we're going to offer some free mini audits to anyone that is interested in potentially working with us or would like to do some advertising on TikTok. So that's an opportunity. But if you want to find us just to follow us from an organic point of view, then we are on Instagram, Facebook and TikTok, and we are at Neon Digital Clicks on all three platforms.
Thank you so much, Anna, and thank you for that link as well, which I'm going to put in the show notes, because I think that's a really good opportunity. Thank you. So that's just like a little mini audit, or is it? Of TikTok account? Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh,
so we can do that, and we can just give some kind of really quick tips and advice and pointers.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for everything you've shared today.
That's okay. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening right to the end of this episode. Do remember that you can get the full back catalogue and lots of free resources on my website, vickyweinberg.com. Please do remember to rate and review this episode if you've enjoyed it, and also share it with a friend who you think might find it useful. Thank you again, and see you next week. If you've been inspired to start a podcast in 2024, I really recommend my podcast host, Captivate. Captivate were my top pick when I started podcasting 4 years ago because of how easy it was for a complete novice like me to get started. I've stuck with them for the last 4 years because Captivate is still really simple to use. They keep adding great new features like the ability to share ads like these, and they've just been really reliable. So when you're ready to start your own podcast, you can use the link in the show notes and get a free 7-day trial with Captivate.